Salad is junk food, guys. Yeah, I said it. This is a response to a meme that keeps getting thrown around the internet over and over again and has recirculated for years from people perpetuating the myth that poor people cannot afford to eat healthy food by pointing to the fast food industry saying essentially burgers are cheaper than salad. Restaurant hamburgers are cheaper than restaurant salads. A McDonald's hamburger costs $1. A McDonald's salad costs several dollars. So what's up with that? Salad is junk food, man. Read the labels. Did you know? In America, many years ago, they passed a law that restaurants had to publish nutritional information. So if you go to a fast food restaurant and you don't see the information published, ask the cashier, ask the person behind the counter, may I see the nutrition facts for the food that you serve here? And they should hand you a card from behind the counter with all that information on it so you can see exactly how many grams of sugar are in a McDonald's salad. 27, by the way. 27 grams of sugar in a salad? Salad's not supposed to have any grams of sugar. What the heck, McDonald's? What the heck? Man, one of those $7 restaurant salads has more calories by a significant margin, more trans fat, more crap in it than a Big Mac. Now, I'm not glorifying Big Macs and saying they're health food. I'm just pointing that out for contrast. It's something that may shock and surprise a lot of you, because I know most of my viewers are an international audience from all over the world. About 33% of you are from the United States, and so this may resonate with you. And you may realize, oh yeah, restaurant salads do have a bunch of crap on them. And then, what do a lot of people do? They dump 1,000 calories of fatty salad dressing all over it. Not just fatty, because fat's not the real enemy. Salad dressing saturated with sugar. Sugar! Sugar is the big culprit in the American obesity epidemic. Man, it's like a 60% obesity rate in the United States right now. It's kind of obscene. It's absolutely obscene. Living in China for the last 12 years, and occasionally going back to the U.S. to visit, has allowed me to see this massive contrast in the way people take care of themselves. Now, there are fat people in China, but not a huge number of them. There is some obesity here, but not on the American level. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. The glycemic index, that's a count of how much simple sugar is in your food, of the foods largely consumed by Americans, is off the charts. Off the charts! Remember back in the 80s where there was this huge anti-fat campaign. Everything became fat-free, because fat was the enemy. Fat makes you fat. No, it doesn't, but that's what people thought back then. And a lot of fitness experts jumped on board. Remember Susan Powter, Stop the Insanity? I love Susan Powter. But her whole book, Stop the Insanity, was about cutting fat out of your diet. Now, the way she presented that book, it basically said, replace the crap in your diet with natural whole foods, which is great advice. But the premise of take the fat out of the diet, that alone is a faulty premise. But that's what people listened to, and that's what they ran with. And that still has repercussions in America to this day. People think, oh, if I drink milk, skim milk, instead of whole milk, then I'm okay. Yeah, we can talk about milk all day, but we're not gonna. We're gonna talk about salad. Salad is junk food, friends. And a lot of you are furiously typing in the comments, not the salad that I eat. I make my own salad with all of these healthy things, and I know exactly what goes into it. Okay, great. Good for you, friends. But I'm going to tell you the salad is not a meal. Salad is a side dish at best. Here's one of the big problems when people go out to eat, in America anyway, and they order a chef's salad, they order a Caesar salad, they order something that is just absolutely drenched in this obscene salad dressing, which makes this lettuce go from essentially a nothing food, which is basically water, a little bit of fiber, and some phytochemicals. And it's not satiating at all. It doesn't satisfy you because it's got no calories. It's got no carbohydrates, no protein, no fat. Like I said, water, fiber, a few phytochemicals, and that's it. Now, I'm not saying vegetables are bad for you. No. Calm down, vegans, calm down. I'm not saying vegetables are bad for you. I'm not saying don't eat vegetables. I'm saying think things through, read the ingredients, know what goes into your body. But people think, oh, it's got a nice bed of lettuce on it, so it's good for me. It's good for me! And what do? Well, like I said before, douse it with 1,000 calories of crap salad dressing, or it's got a million other ingredients on it to make it taste better and be satiating. All these other non-salad ingredients. How much cheese is in your salad, for example? Not to demonize cheese or anything. Everything in moderation, just about, is fine, but how many of you practice the principle of moderation? The numbers say that a lot of you don't. 60% obesity rate, man. Adult obesity rate. That's not moderation. That means something's gone horribly wrong. I made a post about this, and it got a lot of buzz, got a lot of comments, and this one fellow told me that he is one of those guys who can barely eat anything, and he will just put on enormous amounts of weight. And he elaborated on this, and by enormous amounts of weight, he meant his weight would fluctuate about 5 pounds, between 145 pounds and 150 pounds. I was like, dude, that's not enormous amounts of weight. And he spelled out what his diet was. It was 2 packets of ramen noodles and basically a handful of candy. That's not a good diet, friends. That should be self-evident. Fun fact about ramen noodles. Ramen noodles in America, that package, it's about that big. You read the calories, you read the nutrition facts, how much sodium is in it. Well, guess what? You got to double that. You got to double that because 1 packet of ramen noodles is 2 servings. Yeah, that's something not everybody tells you about labels in America, nutrition labels in America. It gives you nutrition facts per serving, and it doesn't always highlight how many servings are in the package. It'll tell you in the fine print, but it doesn't always highlight it. But a single package of ramen noodles is 2 servings, so you got to double those numbers so they're actually a lot bigger than you might think they are. Surprise. But it's all simple starches, which boils down to sugar. No, this is not an advocation. This is not me advocating the, what do you call that? Any low-carb diet. No. Simple starches, simple sugars. Is it not self-evident that crap isn't good for you? If you're going to eat carbohydrates, and I think you should, because there are a lot of good ones, unless you have some sort of digestive health issue with them, or some other problem or disease, like celiac disease, etc., make them complex carbohydrates. There are many, many options, and cheap ones. This stupid myth that I'm poor, and therefore I can't afford healthy food. Well, it depends on how poor you are. If you're living in a third world country, and you literally can't afford to buy food, okay, yeah, I get it. You can't afford basic food. But if you can afford to go and eat at fast food restaurants on the daily to the point where you pack on hundreds of pounds and become a statistic part of the 60% American obesity rate, you're not poor. You may have less than your neighbors. You may have less than the rich or the affluent or the middle class or the upper middle class, but you're not poor because you're not starving. Man, I grew up kind of poor by American standards, but I tell you what, my mother never allowed me to tell me I was poor. She was an immigrant. For an immigrant from England, she lived through the end of World War II, lived through war rationing, and she didn't even think of herself as poor, in spite of the fact that her family was basically starving, growing up. In spite of the fact that they had a little pittance, a little tiny allowance of food for the entire family for a week. And yet, she didn't consider herself to be poor. And if I ever once called myself poor, oh, I'm so poor, woe is me. Get that attitude out of your head right away, man. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The furious race to the bottom is not one you want to participate in. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? I come from a small town, and there's this tradition amongst people who come from small towns to compete with each other to see who comes from the smallest town. Oh yeah, I come from New Plymouth, Idaho. It's got a population of like 1,000 people, but it only had like 800 when I was born. Oh yeah, well I come from Burley, Idaho. It's got a population of several hundred. Oh yeah, I got you all beat. I come from Lethe, Idaho. We got 50 people and 50 cows. Oh yeah, well I'm a nomad out in the desert. It's just me and my horse. I win! Okay, it's not exactly the same as the furious race to the bottom. If you've never heard me use that expression before, what is that? It is the oppression Olympics. It's when people compete with each other to get some sort of street cred for how hard done by they are in life. By how much their life sucks. By how much they can throw their arms up in the air and say, woe is me, boo-hoo, have pity on me, everybody feel bad for me. Screw that! Screw that! That doesn't help you. That doesn't dig you out of the pit. That just brings you to the bottom. And getting there faster and getting there first is not a prize. So if you like salad, fine. If you like dousing it in dressing, fine. But know what you're eating. Know what the consequences are. And stop placing the blame on McDonald's hamburgers for being cheaper than a bunch of iceberg lettuce. Because that is not the answer either. It is a false dilemma, friends, a false dilemma. Stop buying into it. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.